Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in to talk about My Hero Academia chapter 269, The Three of Us. Which is interesting, right? The three of us, that could paint Aizawa, his buddy, and President Mike, and that could also describe Shigaraki, All For One, and Garaki. Well, any hoosers, let's get into the chapter. Let me tell you guys just from the get-go, this is going to sound like the ramblings of a paranoid madman. I'm very paranoid in real life, so the opportunity to be paranoid in manga, I am relishing it. But jokes aside, this is legitimately going to sound like paranoid ramblings, just because, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when it comes to manga events, I am very pessimistic. I like to believe that the worst is going to happen. When you have chapters like this, it's like, oh, this was really nice. This really made my day. I was really expecting worse, but it's actually really, really nice. So when, it just feels good. But that said, the pessimism rules. So as we go through this chapter, I'm going to be giving you guys a lot of information to tell you like my perspective. And ideally, you look at some of the information and you take what you think is valuable and you just discard what you think is not valuable, because there's a lot of factors coming into this, especially when we're at another pivot point within Hero Academia where we could go in two directions. We could go into a super happy conclusion to the arc, or we could go into a prolonged continuation of the arc. What we're gonna get, I don't know. It's hard to tell. There's only some basic things that we can say are guiding us in terms of projecting into the future of Hero Academia, but those things that project us into the future of Hero Academia don't really tell us what's gonna happen in the short-term future. So let's get into it with general notes first. General notes. I'm really happy that President Mike came through for us. Like I said, pessimistic. I was really expecting the worst. President Mike did not let this situation go out of control. He kept it under control. He was professional for this one. I'm very happy with what we got here. I also love that we finally got the culmination of President Mike saying how angry he was. You could feel the anger in that fist. I think it was cool. I think it's interesting that the author gave him so many beautiful panels in terms of his posing. Found it a little bit unnecessary. There might be something I'm missing in the posing. Maybe there's some kind of secret message in the posing. But yeah, I'm happy with it. This one makes it even more unlikely that President Mike is going to be a traitor unless we get like an incredible mind twist. But right now, I'm really happy with that one. That was a nice surprise. So coming into the chapter being so negative on President Mike, this was nice. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that the author didn't. The thing is, he had enough reason to make President Mike have another mistake here. But I'm glad that it didn't happen. Really cool stuff. And now the other general note is, of course, going to be, is Shigaraki actually gone? So, when we're in this position of questioning, is Shigaraki actually dead? What do we have to bring up here? Okay, first off, if Shigaraki is down and we officially win this part of the arc, great. I would love to see that. That would be different. That would be a different change of pace. There's nothing wrong with that. That would be totally cool. Could Shigaraki come back in the future? Yeah, it's Hero Academia. Like, All For One came back from the dead, if essentially. Like, we have people in Hero Academia that can cheat death. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Shigaraki could cheat death in the future, but if we could take a break from Shigaraki, that would be totally fine. If Shigaraki is gone for good, in some shape or form, also totally fine. So when I'm seeing that last little bit there with Shigaraki on the ground, his heart's not stopping, I'm still suspect of it. But if we actually stay true to that, that'd be fine. Other factors to consider though, well, there's just so many. So let me just go down all the roads. One possibility, if Shigaraki is legitimately dead, what can we do with that? Well, All For One is still active. We then have Dobby, who is setting himself up to be a big deal. We don't know if Stain's rhetoric is ultimately going to be endgame material. I doubt it. I really find Dobby just to be a guy who's making himself seem like he's important, but I don't really think he's important. I mean, the guy's not really what you call a threat, and like not compared to Shigaraki. So maybe the author wants to go down a route that he can make Dobby a legitimate threat. That's possible. Dobby set himself up to add some doubt to this whole situation. It could be the Dobby show for a little bit. Another possibility, well, I guess pretty much the only thing left is that Shigaraki just comes back immediately in this arc. Is there a reason to say that Shigaraki could just revive himself right now? Yes, there's plenty of reason to say that Shigaraki could revive himself within a chapter or two if the author really wants it. Because at the end of the day, this is the story of how Izuku became a great hero. Izuku does not become a great hero by just hanging out in a town waiting for the other heroes to do stuff. And again, Izuku is fated to fight this particular person. Whoever holds All For One, that's who Izuku is going to be going into Endgame with. unless the author has been enamored by the pro heroes, I don't think that's changing. But we still have the specter of All for One out in the horizon. It's just what form All for One will ultimately take. And just for the record, so you guys know, when I'm thinking about Endgame Hero Academia, I'm still expecting, like, Shigaraki's a pawn in all of this, and I'm still expecting All for One to do a body hijack and just take Shigaraki's body, and then he is now in the perfect body with the perfect mindset. Why? Because All for One is the kind of guy who likes collecting powers. He likes quirks. He likes having a lot of quirks. He likens it to making wine. He just likes the flavor of quirks. So, you know, there's enough reason to say that this thing is far from over. So now, if I was to give you some more circumstantial evidence when it comes to Shigaraki, in terms of what could happen here, how can we legitimize a Shigaraki coming back? First, in terms of reasonings why Shigaraki could just come back. One, in chapter 268, Shigaraki seemed to have been smiling. That seems like he's conscious in there. He's conscious. How could that consciousness come back out? I don't know. In this chapter, Garaki says that Shigaraki's in a death-like state. There's another thing given in the chapter that could give Shigaraki a way back. More things in support of Shigaraki. Well, way back when in chapter 255, Garaki called Shigaraki the ultimate being sought after by him and one for all. And then he said that Shigaraki was more perfect than the guy expected. What does that mean? It means that Shigaraki already has a precedence of surpassing the doctor's expectations, such that when you have the doctor saying that it's all over, all you really need is Shigaraki proving him wrong. Maybe this is where Shigaraki shows that he's more perfect than anyone could have ever have imagined. And in that part, that's also where I want to bring up like the All for One angle. What if All for One somehow can just act through Shigaraki? What if All for One can just do his body hijack right now? You might say, well, no, Trip, that's kind of weird. All for One can't use his quirks in Tartarus or else he's going to get fried. But then I can bring you back up to chapter 209. In chapter 209, All for One was super proud of hearing his brother's voice. He was happy, ecstatic. Or at least, you know, he had some kind of feeling going on in there. He was fidgeting in his chair because he heard his brother's voice. And my question is, what mechanism allows him to do that? It goes to say that there is a paranormal type of influence that All for One is privy to that doesn't show up on the sensors to the degree that the people feel the need to neutralize All for One. And since we're playing in the All for One and One for All battlefield, if Shigaraki has either one of those quirks, honestly, all bets are off. Again, you know, we're in another situation here at Academia where we're standing on this precipice of absolute potential. If I was to put down my bets, I'm saying that Shigaraki, that body is coming back into play pretty quick here. I would be very happy if it doesn't and we actually go towards a nice little ending to the arc. But right now, Shigaraki might come back. And like in terms of worst case scenarios, the worst case scenario is that Shigaraki goes all Ultra Instinct. Like maybe for 1 second people look away from the body and then they notice that it's gone. And then all of a sudden you just see Shigaraki with Super Saiyan hair teleporting to all the spots where his allies are at and taking away his major allies. Look, man, all I know is that coming into this arc, what I believed was it was too much to give Shigaraki such a giant army. I felt that the next step would be getting rid of the army because I don't think the author could handle having such a big villain force in such a small world. This arc is one that I thought was going to be the weeding out of the army. To neutralize Shigaraki a little bit. I still believe that. I still think that this could work out that way if the author wants it to. And if he wants to go into a total peaceful route, that would honestly be super welcome. I don't know how that... I don't know. I mean, like, it's my wants versus my pessimism here, right? Anyway, those are my general thoughts. Let's get into the video proper. So page 1, and I have my notes here. So Endeavor has a thematically appropriate handkerchief, very cute, and in this page we get to see Mirko's damage, really extensive. Now here we also get something pretty important. We get the 5 minutes past since chapter 261 events. So much appreciated, author. It just reminds me of the point from last chapter of just time is really unreliable. If you told me 5 minutes passed, I wouldn't be able to confirm that with just the manga progression. But yeah, we also got Endeavor highlighting the accolade of facing so many high ends at once. So this is what I call the loser's consolation. And I know that's harsh because loser, but that describes the mechanism very well. It's where a character suffers some type of defeat, and it doesn't have to be fatal. But then another character chimes in and points out how incredible the process that led to the defeat is, or something that was valuable within the defeat. In this case, Endeavor implies that it's amazing that she was able to handle the Nobus by herself and not die, which I'm sure that we will all agree with. I think authors do this to help characters save face and also give some kind of light within the darkness, some kind of silver lining to a defeat. And if you think about shonen manga, chances are you've seen this phenomena occur in other stories. Pretty much go look in a tournament arc, and chances are if you're reading shonen, you're gonna find it. I thought this was important just because I think this suggests that we're gonna get characters talking about the Nomus in an after arc review later. Like they're gonna be reflecting on like they got lucky or something like that, something along those lines. We go to page 2. And in this one, we see that Endeavor manages to get some cauterizing done due to the sound effects of the fire. At least we can assume that Mirko isn't going to bleed out. So I would love to see her reflection on this battle. And then in this page, we also get Femnomu coming in. And I really wonder what Femnomu was like when she was human. Anyway, in this page, we had Mirko continuing being her aloof self. I actually think she has a bit of a hero's mentality here. A hero isn't owed one for being a hero. Because that's what a hero does. They just do things for the sake of the greater good, right? Without the expectation of being owed. And paradoxically, a hero would be or would feel inclined to pay back their debts, because that's also the thing that a hero does. So here we have a nice little paradox of heroic virtues. Point is, don't get heroes into a fight about debts being owed. So page 3 is a page of important info, but before that, there's a little detail that you can see the elephant Nomu getting his trunk lopped off in the top panel. Anyway, Mirko gives absolutely important information in that a zap of electricity woke up the Nomus. That could be applied to Shigaraki, so the author could accidentally shock Shigaraki, and it would be justified if he was to say that shock is what revives him. Other important info, Majin Buu Nomu mentions that his body hasn't come back to life, which is curious. Another translation mentioned that his body hadn't woken up yet. So you see the problem with the Viz translation being ambiguous. But then you have the different narration that occurs bubbleless, where the Nomu realizes that it can't use its quirks on the next page. So the question is, are these two different thoughts? Right now, it might be likelier that it's just talking about regeneration not working. It's just, I think, clumsy wording, given that the majority of this creature's body is intact. Hey, coming in with a quick addition because I forgot to detail the alternative. The alternative to the whole Nomu situation is that when it says that his body still hasn't come back to life, it might be referring to its body hasn't come back to life since being in stasis in the pods. Given that later in the chapter they talk about how Shigaraki was put into a death-like state, you could assume that the Nomus are also in a death-like state when they're inside the pod, so they come back to life with the lightning zapping them. So in that context, it would make sense that the Nomu is saying, my body still hasn't come back to life from being in the pod in stasis for so long. Again, I do think it's just kind of clumsy wording. Like, we have two alternatives here that are so close together that the context clues are saying that it's not regeneration. But I wanna go with the conservative bet here. But that's the alternative. Now, the value in the Nomu saying that its body still hasn't come back to life in the context of it's saying that it's still kind of asleep from being in stasis is that it's saying that the Nomu aren't at 100%, and in that case, it gives a way for the author to make Nomu stronger in the future. Like, if we're gonna have more high ends occurring in the future and we have a super strong high end, we can always look back to this moment and say, well, the high ends from this moment weren't at their pinnacle, so naturally it makes sense that we have this much stronger high end in the future. This might be a line that leads to power scaling. The thing that will really determine whether or not this line is talking about the Nomu's performance potential is if in the future we get a powwow between the heroes where they all admit, like, we would have been in real trouble had these Nomus been 100%. Page 4 to 5, and now we're gonna talk a little bit more about translations. I want to point out that there was another translation out before the Viz translation, and here's a comparison of page 4 so that you can see just how different these translations are. This page especially, non-Viz says it's Aizawa speaking. Viz says it's the Nomu speaking. If you read this other translation, make sure you read the Viz one as well. Just so you know what the potential differences might be and you don't get solidified on a particular conclusion if you're thinking about some kind of hardcore theory. Anyway, the weirdest thing about page 4 is that the Nomu is speaking so eloquently in its head. It's weird that he has enough self-awareness to know it's a high end. I don't know, it's just weird, especially when you have Fem Nomu barely forming sentences in the previous page. Anyway, Aizawa narrates the situation for us and sets up that backup is coming for the rest of the heroes. Page 6 to 7, we get Shield Shoot from Crust, and we get Present Mike posing. On this page also, Garaki mentions that the whole thing with Shigaraki was the culmination of their dreams. And, you know, that's just another line that just tells me, like, I don't see this ending. This is someone's dream here. I don't see it ending. It would be nice if it gets broken. But yeah, All For One's dream I don't think is dead regardless, even if Shigaraki is down for the count. Because, again, the All For One shadow has to be there at the end of the fight. Because, like, again, if you neutralize All For One's dream right now, what is the point of the brother who's just been waiting for the point of singularity to go and deal with his brother, right? Just paraphrasing. But it would take a lot of steam away from All For One's brother. One last thing for this page before we move on is to point out that Garaki said that the data is still... It seems like the data is still in good condition. So if Garaki is smart and actually has all his data backed up on the cloud, like he should, his personal cloud, there's still hope here. It all depends on how good he is at backing up his data. Anyway, we move into page 8 and 9. We get Loud Voice. It looked really good. And we see the device that Garaki had a few chapters ago in 261. This time it's hooked up to the computers, where it's still hooked up even after Loud Voice, at least from what the manga panel can kind of tell us here. Also, we got to see Garaki falling, which was just a good shot. Page 10 to 11 is just destruction everywhere as Present Mike starts winding up. Again, the author gave Present Mike a lot of poses here. Also in page 10 and 11, there's another thing that actually makes me think that Shigaraki is going to come back into play. And I forgot to mention it at the top, but it's specifically that Shigaraki is wearing shoes. Alright, look, all I'm saying is, if I was a doctor, I wouldn't put my test subject in a vial with shoes on. You know, like, that feels, I don't know, feels kind of goofy. But if I was an author who was imagining a great battle sequence later, I sure think that the guy wearing shoes would be a cooler outfit. Honestly, Shigaraki seems to be wearing a pretty neat looking outfit, right? He seems to be, which makes me just think that, like, it's a battle design, right? It's a battle design. Why are you going to use it if it's not a battle design? So that's another thing. It's just like the design detail on Shigaraki's current outfit. Really, the author gave me so much detail in that one shoe that I just don't trust anything. Anyway, page 12 and 13, we have a DJ punch and we get the flashback. And that's just reiterating that these guys are the emotional hook for the arc. And one other thing, I think it's super cute that Present Mike was upset at Aizawa crying. You know, that was a good moment. That was a really good moment. I really hope Present Mike isn't a traitor. Next up, page 14 and 15, the biggest page, the most important pages. So Shiga's heart is stopped, but the doctor says that he's in a death-like state, which gives us another way out. And then we have another big line. The doctor says that he's only been living for the boy's sake, ... for Shigaraki. So when he says Shigaraki, is he referring to Tomura, or is he referring to All For One? Because you can take this two ways. One is he's living on just for Tomura, or he's living for Tomura for All For One in order to help All For One accomplish a goal. It's tough. I think it's kind of tough to decide. Look, I think another worthwhile detail is that the author said that Garaki changed his name as a sign of loyalty to All For One. That's the one good thing that came out of that whole Shiga debacle where the guy had to get his name changed. The author had to come out to justify his naming choice, and in doing that, he told us about the whole name's meaning. And he kept it in the current character with the Garaki part. On record, we have a character that legally changed his name out of pure adoration for another person. Otherwise, for page 15, there's some cool details in this panel. You can see Ryukyu 13, and I think this is Panda Man from One Piece. And I also think that the bursts are Gran Torino, given that you can see him in the Femnomu shot later. Another cool detail in the Femnomu shot are that Manuel and the firefighter hero are destroying canisters, or tubes, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, moving on to the next page, last real thing to talk about is who is saying Lord of Evil? Is that Garaki saying that, or is that a hero saying that? It's just kind of weird that deluded Garaki, who finds Nomu's cute, is self-aware enough to call All For One evil, especially when we know the type of games that All For One likes to play with semantics. If Garaki's saying it, then cool, you know, more peace of mind. If a hero is saying it, might be getting ahead of themselves, but right now it makes more sense to conclude that Garaki's the one saying it, especially with the "but now" that we got on page 14. Like, it seems like it's a natural flow from his conversation, like from what he was saying to Present Mike. It seems like a natural flow. So, you know, I think that's a good sign. But really, another point of a lot of potential. How do we want to go here? Does the author want to just move away from the situation and just say that the hospital portion of this whole thing is a success? Excellent. Do we want to say Dobby's going to be the next big thing? I don't believe that. But, yo, if the author can pull it off, he can pull it off, right? Is All for One going to have the final laugh? Most likely. But yeah, overall, that was chapter 269 of My Hero Academia. And we won't be back next week because it's Golden Week, I believe. And so we will be back May 10th. Which, you know, sad, but let's just all take it easy. At least we are getting the chapters. At least no mangaka has gotten COVID. So anyway, guys, let me know what you thought down below, especially for this chapter. I want to know how crazy you think things are going to get. Do you think we're going into a nice situation? Do you think we're going into a bad situation? Let me know down below. And if you got any extra little details that I missed that you want to share, please also let me know. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for watching. What a chapter. I'm paranoid as heck. I'm also pessimistic as heck, but I hope you guys aren't. Let me know what you thought down below. And until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.